Undershot and I bounced past the airbag and landed right on my tailbone. Well, like I just caught the airbag. I'd say if it was another 5 feet, it probably would have ended up breaking my tailbone and lower back. So, but I jumped right up on that, and then I went and hopped on my Harley and finished the show doing my Harley stunts.
Man, it's brutal. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
I gotta fucking clap because it's garbage, and I need to sing the audio actually.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Casting Couch podcast. I'm JC. This is Paul.
Paul again.
And today we're joined up with one of our good friends. Who are you?
Alex Nixon with Hard Kastle Clothing, and born and raised Port McMurray, 24 years old, and I ride freestyle FMX.
That's a big thing. Like, how the fuck did you get into like starting doing shows? Like, you're doing shows all. Okay, for context, he's from fucking Fort Mac, where there's literally nothing. So he has like a jump and a ramp in his backyard, and now he's doing shows in Cape Breton.
Believe it or not, to be in Fort Mac and to find somebody born and raised in Fort Mac is so rare. It's
I'm like a unicorn.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like every time I meet somebody from Fort Mac while I'm here, I'm like,
take pictures. Yeah, just take pictures.
Like, you're not supposed to be here.
But yeah, so like, how the fuck did you get into like doing shows like in Cape Breton?
So honestly, the show part's been crazy part of it, because last year I drove to Montreal just to do a demo, no pay or no nothing, so I was all out of pocket with my buddy Brandon Reed.
Yep.
I ended up having to crash at that show, and then came back and practiced up some more, and then did another show that was with you guys.
Yeah.
So like those were two shows, kind of more demos, no pay or nothing, and that's kind of how I started getting into the aspect of it. And then my good buddy Christian Martinez kind of called me up. He was like, "Yo, man, I need you to come out and be one of my riders for me." So I was pretty much packing up and going to Montreal. Rode for a couple of weeks with him, get dialed in, then we went straight to Cape Breton and started doing shows, and pretty much did straight shows all summer after that.
Jesus.
Straight to God's country,
I
buddy.
think I did 10, 15 shows this summer for my first year as a freestyle FMX rider.
Really?
So that's including the one with you guys. That was probably one of the best ones, I think.
Yeah, man, that was wicked. The Nora
that was unreal.
That's another thing. Like, doesn't it sketch you out to just start jumping, like, what is it, 75 foot? Like, in between the, like, Buddy just throws himself in the air, like, fucking over 3 cars that are drifting. Like, why?
Well, I don't know, man. It's like...
It doesn't sketch you out?
Like, I'd be lying if you don't get nervous, because everybody gets nervous no matter what you're doing. Like, I'm sure you get nervous
100%.
when you're going for an entry or something, like you're doing like 120 or something, right? Like, I don't want to fuck up.
Yeah, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. It's like every time you go to scales after like a bit of a break, it's like, oh God, what if I forget how to do this? Like,
exactly.
Do I even know how to do this anymore?
And just like saying that's the craziest thing, because even going like not riding for a month and a half, and flew out to Toronto for those November shows, and just had to go no practice and not riding for like 3-4 weeks to go jumping indoor arenas with like messed up run-ins that are all dialed in and perfect. So it's like,
that's the thing, dude. Like, I go to scales, like, my first year of drifting, I kept going to scales, like, every week, right? But every fucking week before I got to scales, like, 20 kilometers before I was starting shaking, I was like, what if I forgot how to drift? Imagine you can't do that with fucking jumping in the air, doing a backflip or something like that.
At least ours is forgiving if we forget what we're doing. Like,
well, and honestly, nowadays it is with the airbags. Like, I'm super thankful for being in the
era
that I get to ride on these, and because when you do crash, it's not nearly as hard on your body. And
wow, that's the thing.
Career-ending as well, right? There's a lot of riders out there that fucking have hit one jump and their career's done because of certain injuries. So like, I'm super thankful to have that and be able to ride that.
Yeah, because it's easy to mess up, right? You just like don't hit it fast enough and you miss the blending.
And that's where all the I found the muscle memory comes in, because like no matter how nervous you are, like you gotta just learn to block that all out and just say go. Like I always have this rule, like 1, 2, 3,
and then you go. I do the same thing.
And like on 3, I go no matter what, because like whether you go then or later, it's gonna be the same outcome, right?
Yeah.
So what's the point of just making your brain trick yourself more? It's like
make yourself freak out a bit.
Nothing's worse than your own battling against yourself. So.
It's weird because I actually have that same rule. Like I got like I count to 3, and after 3, like I go regardless. And Steve-O was talking about that because Steve-O does the same thing too.
Yeah, he's a fucked up dude.
Like that's fucking intense. But
I don't have a counting rule. Where I come from, I can barely count to 3, man.
But like, you messed up a jump last summer, right? You fucked up the landing or something, didn't you?
Yeah, so I undershot and I bounced past the airbag and landed right on my tailbone. Well, like I just caught the airbag. I'd say if it was another 5 feet, it probably would have ended up breaking my tailbone and lower back. So But I jumped right up on that, and then I went and hopped on my Harley and finished the show doing my Harley stunts, because that's my next kind of thing to go to, right? If I'm not riding FMX, Harley's where it's at.
But did you like after you go like right away into it? Otherwise, like because they say if you fall off a horse, you got to get back onto it right now. Like,
Well,
did you get stressed or?
Well, 100%, because it was my first time actually hitting 75 feet.
It was your first jump ever.
Well, not first jump ever. So like, I have my own dirt setup that I spent a bunch of money getting dialed in. Like, I didn't even have an actual FMX ramp. I just was using an old sled ramp that was given to me, which like a lot of guys are like, oh, I can't believe you learned on that. Like, that shoots you way different, right?
Yeah.
So I was fucking whatever. I took the step to make it happen. Then I finally got a actual ramp, and I was at like 60, 65 feet jumping consistently in my yard. But I didn't have enough dirt to make it actually good landing. So I kept over jumping or under jumping and not like having space to have room for air, especially this aspect I was learning. So I kept over jumping and hurting my ankles and stuff. And so I didn't really ride that much. So then I went out there to hit 75 and did good the whole first 2 shows. And the last show I just kind of messed up on the throttle and came short.
So it's 75 like from the jump to the landing, right?
Yeah, from the lip of the jump to the knuckle of the landing. So
Is that
that's
like
the transition where it goes down?
Is that like the regular distance? Or?
Yeah, so for shows and all that stuff, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's some guys out there that are hitting like 120 foot ramps and just like throwing huge whips, and it's just crazy.
Jesus. Do you know how high you're getting? Because Billy hit the
30 to
roof.
40 feet.
How
Yeah,
much?
Billy Kohut's crazy. He fucking
This guy is
kiss of
fucking
death and
nuts.
his heels hit the roof. He got smacked down.
Did I
I'm so
show you
lucky
that
to land
video?
on the airbag.
I'll show you after, man. Yeah.
We'll have to put it in the like little sidebar.
Oh
there,
man,
so
that video was insane. Like I
hit the roof.
I thought he died. Like I was like, he just died. Like I just witnessed a murder. Yeah, he just fucking hit the roof.
I was talking to him, and he said the next day his feet were just fucking stinging, like he couldn't even feel them.
Yeah, because he hit with his feet, right?
Yeah, like his heels, and so like on the boot, there's like this much heel at the back, and then it's like no protection. So if he would have hit like an inch higher, he would have snapped his ankles.
Oh,
man.
well, that video
Right,
was
so it was crazy.
That is crazy. You guys are madmen. Like,
Yeah.
That's insane.
But that's even like I had one crash this year. I ended up missing a seat grab. So,
What?
so like I went to do a grab. As soon as I went to go grab my seat and I kicked myself off, I realized my hand wasn't on my seat, and I was like, "Well, fuck, I'm done." So I just ditched the bike and started.
Are you
going.
serious?
Just bounced on the airbag and tumbled off of it, and I got up and I was like, "Yeah," I shook my head. I was good. Found my bike.
Is it kind of soft whenever you? Well,
Yeah,
like it
well,
can't
like,
be
and
that
like-
soft,
and
but
Like all depends how you land too. So like I find the thing with airbags, they save you, but they usually mangle your bike because they'll throw your bike out and just twist it all up. So like
Jesus.
I went up to the promoter. I was like, "Yeah, I'm good to go jump again. I gotta go jump again and get my trick down, or else I'm gonna be fucking in my head, right? Like,
Yeah.
gonna be overthinking stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, go jump." And as I was about to go turn into the run, all I hear is tick 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 tick, and my had 3 front spokes punched out from my front tire landing so hard on the bag and going through. So
Jesus.
if I would have took off that ramp, it's possible my front wire would have just collapsed, and I could have just it would have been bad at that point. But
Jeez.
that's just kind of all part of it. There's risks and rewards, but I'm willing to take the risk to get the rewards.
Well, that's the thing, right?
So how long have you been riding then?
Well,
Riding.
motorcycles, like dirt bikes, since I was 2 years old, I started riding a PW50.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went
Such
from a PW50 to a PW80, and then from there to a KTM 65, and then so on. But I stopped riding from like probably 14 to 17-ish. Like, I just got into the partying phase up in Fort McMurray, right? I'm sure if you live here, you know what it's like. So finally got out of that and realized I don't want to be hungover every day and like just riding motorcycles and having fun doing my passion, right? And then so like I was riding, just having fun with it, riding trails. Like that was my favorite riding till I started FMX, was just enduro riding through the trails and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and then I decided like fuck it, I want to be a freestyle rider and do shows. Just like
How
style.
the
Just
fuck do
woke
you
up.
get into
Just
that
woke up.
decision?
Just woke up one day. I was like, this is what I want to do. Like I kind of thought back to it now. One aspect was like my old man took me to Red Bull X Fighters when I was younger.
Yeah.
So like I didn't think about that till this year, but that probably had a big part on me seeing that. And like, yeah, I want to be there one day.
Because
You know?
how the fuck do you wake up and you're like, I want to throw myself in the air for 40, like in 40
especially-
foot high, and if I may or may not do the landing. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. Like you start small, and like the main thing is never rush it, because the minute you rush that stuff is when you crash. And especially if you're riding dirt, like there's not much forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a few buddies that are trying to learn this year, and you know, if you rush it, like just like not even rush it, but if you don't take the time to learn properly and just get yourself dialed in, like then when you get how to take that next step without having that time in, you're skipping a step. Like even for me with the shows this year, like I'm lucky to do as good as I did because I put all the work in to get there, but like there's not a lot of people that just step into shows how I did with the experience I have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I was really
100%.
thankful that the people gave me the chances and I was able to step up and make it happen. So it's pretty crazy, man.
It's unreal to actually be kind of living what you dreamed out.
Well, exactly.
Since
First
the
year,
day
and
you
like
said it, right?
that's the best thing. Like I love riding and just having fun, but shows are so much fun, man. Like
Oh, yeah,
getting
I
the
bet.
crowd amped up. Like
Yeah,
the kids are so stoked. Like you see the kids and it's just like that was me one day.
Yeah,
That
you know
was
what I
me,
mean? Same thing
you
with
know?
us. Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing.
I can
Exactly,
remember
right?
getting texts when you were in Cape Breton, like people that I know from back home were like, "Hey, this guy's apparently from Fort Mac. Do you know who he is?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I know Alex." Like,
Yeah, I remember
was
you messaged me. That
Or
was sweet.
Billy did a show in Calgary, and I kept seeing him. Like I have a few friends in Calgary, and I kept seeing them on their story on Instagram. I was like, how fucking sick is that? Like
The Stampede there.
yeah, dude. But
That's
like,
one of my goals there to make it there.
well, that's the thing with Fort Mac is there's so much opportunities that people don't like compared to like you go to Edmonton, like it's too big. Fort Mac is small enough where you can start building a name professionally,
Exactly.
and then it's like I remember when we started at Area 63, like randomly I just texted you. I was like, oh, like would you be down to come and jump at Area 63? And you were like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then we started doing like under.
100%.
It started from there.
Right.
And then we started to do Northern Belt, and we're like, do you want to do a show at Northern Belt? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then just fucking
100%.
kept going. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it helps too, where it's not as many people doing what we're doing here either. Like we're like now that you think about it more and more, like 881 and Hard Kastle, like they've grown that aspect and that community of sports in this
100%.
town like hugely compared to what it's ever been, right?
100%.
So it's like sweet to see that, and like obviously, why wouldn't you want to keep working together and make things keep growing, right? Like,
yeah,
we had
100%.
2,500 people show up to that show in the 2 days, and that's crazy to do a first show
That's
and have that.
that's
Yeah,
what Rude was kept saying.
unbelievable.
Like you 881 and Rude have like a
Yeah,
weird
him too.
drive.
He's a huge fucking part of my
he's a-
summer. Actually, he gave me a trailer all summer, and was part of the reason I was able to go across Canada with my ramps and airbags.
He saved the Northern Belt too.
changed the
Yeah.
game, right? It was awesome. Like
Saved 881 too at Northern Belt. We didn't have the truck backed out, and we're like, fuck man, now we like how are we gonna move those stands? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I texted him and was like, yeah, my truck is at Oro, just come and grab it. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that's just
Like
it.
Rude, like I want to bring him on the podcast too because Rude is such a big fucking building blocks in the car community up here.
100%. Jordan
Like, anything.
will help like any of us when we need it.
Every single time. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is.
Well,
Yeah.
like that's what's awesome about it too. Like I find with our community of friends that we've grown, we're always down to help each other, no matter what the return favor is. We always know that we're gonna get a return favor. Like we're all helping each other out. Yeah, and like for example, Jordan has all his stuff parked in my driveway right now. He's blocking one side of my driveway off, and I'm like, no, man, fucking keep bringing stuff in. I'm like, you're part of the reason I was able to make my career start off this year. So like, fuck, to go hand in hand with that, you can't compete with that, right? So it's just good friendships building more and more, and it's awesome.
And all those guys, oh, there you go, that one just fell. Stop, isn't it? Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like we all have that same drive that
Exactly.
you just keep pushing and pushing. So, how long has that been, Josh? 15 minutes or so? You check? Oh, okay, so we'll just check out the camera. Those cameras, like that's all I need. You cut! need like a better budget because like those cameras are brutal. They just stop and they don't tell you.
Your
Some
dually
fake wheels.
needs
I
a
just
box
need the-
and stuff. It doesn't need wheels yet.
Yeah, your car doesn't even run. What do you mean you need wheels? I thought you were gonna fucking pull up the.
Oh, he wants wheels for his dually.
For you do why?
Because he wants to be one of those truck TikTok guys, you know.
He's like the worst fucking cloud chaser.
Oh, 100%.
So everything's good except for the everything.
Yeah, what was he saying? He's fucking offset it's an off-white jacket for 10 grand.
And what's funny is when I first started hanging out with him, I walked in his garage back home, and it was hanging over a bunch of tires, like draped in a bunch of tires. And I seen the tag on it. I was like, "Hey, no way!" I pulled it out. Yep, off-white jacket, still tagged.
How much did you pay for that?
Close to 10 grand.
You paid close to 10 grand for a jacket?
The guy's rich, man. His parents are rich.
What the why? I wear Walmart shit. What the fuck do you mean you pay? Huh?
I got the jacket in Vegas.
Me and JC like the parts we could have.
Yeah. I like that. That would have paid for my
Tires,
JZ.
it was sitting on the ski box of the Volkswagen.
No, it was draped in a.
Oh, yeah, because you weren't home. When
It was draped in a stack of tires, man.
Okay, yeah, I probably just threw it there. I also had Ferrari 14 Jordans that are like $2,000 now, just sitting there.
You can't fucking believe this guy.
I could never spend that on shoes now.
Oh fuck, that's a good segue actually. How did you start Hard Kastle?
Yeah, I was.
That's
That's
a wicked segue.
So we put roll in there? Or?
Yeah, we are.
So, yeah.
Flat.
That's like another thing, man. I woke up one day and I was like, I seen everybody else doing it. Like, I was like, everybody's, like, not everybody, but a few select guys, like Christian Martinez, for instance, like Jeremy Stenberg. He's a big name guy, so I can't really compare it to that. But started their own clothing brands and just trying to build a clothing brand on the lifestyle they live.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to sell that as, like, representing them and their brand, and people want to help bring that up. So then, like, you can use it in the same way to build your brand and ride FMX and build it. That's like use it as stepping stones together, right? It rolls in a ball and kind of forms together.
And it's an easy way to. Cause that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's even with racing, cause we go to race inspectee. People want merch, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the kids are looking up to you, and they're like, man, this.
To remember, right?
That's the thing, right? They're like, oh my god, this is a professional driver.
Well, that too.
So they're like, oh my god, like I wonder if I can get either a poster or a shirt or something like that, right?
And that ain't just kids. You should have seen me at Formula Drift last year, man. Like, I'm like walking around with like $500. I'm like, okay, I need to spend this. Like, how much merch can I get now?
Jesus.
So like, I just started buying everything. Like, I'm going to all the drivers I can think of. Like,
Yeah.
so it's not just kids. It's gonna be everyone that sees that stuff.
Yeah, because
It's a pretty big impact.
well, that's the thing, and that's what I don't get. Like, there's a bunch of like smaller team or a bigger team too that don't have merch or anything like that. It's such an easy way to get your brand like everywhere. You know what I mean? And people want it. Like I say, I said it to Faster Higher. I'm like, if you guys drop a hoodie, I'll buy it right now.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I
I
mean?
told Malcolm the same thing when we were down there.
It's just helping the homies. You know what I mean?
100%. And I'm loving that, like, all the local clothing brands are, like, you know, like Hard Kastle, Far From Good.
Yeah.
Our
yeah.
merch, like, I see it, like, out in public now, and, like, I'm like,
100%.
that's...
You
Like,
ever
that's
I
so
was
cool
seeing
to
my
see.
stuff across country this summer, and I was like,
Are
"What?"
you serious? Dude,
100%.
I was driving.
It was mind blowing.
I was driving in Dickinsville, and I was just driving to go to my place, and I saw like a kid walking off to school, and he had an 881 hoodie. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I designed that.
Sweet, it's
You know,
so
it's-
cool to see
who got
that
you
it's
that?
out there. Like even if it's just in our town, like it's like sick when you see someone wearing your stuff.
But
Right?
the amount
It
of
just
people that
shows
are
that people that support you, right?
100%.
And, like that's another thing. Like when I started it was like, oh, how can I make it more, like not more easy, sick wording, but
Yeah.
to ride FMX as a living and be able to do shows and like bring it all around together, right?
100%
So that's why I
okay.
thought, okay, let's start a clothing brand, start there, and then start riding, get to riding.
Mm.
So I started Hard Kastle 2019 is when I started, the end of 2019, and like
I think we all started in
done
2019.
pretty good now. Like
Yeah.
I'm still gotta roll some crinkles out of it, like anything you start fresh, but I just want to keep growing it and keep doing what I'm doing with it,
Yeah.
right? And like even start doing collabs. I've tried like I collab with Addictive Customs here,
Mhm.
using Nairdry, does
Yeah.
like custom painting and all that stuff. He's also a tattoo artist. He's tattooing my back right now. So like all you want to
Colin,
do,
right?
Yeah, Colin Ditchfield.
Yeah,
So
that
I
was
wanna
wicked
do,
dude. I talked to him too a few times too. It was wicked.
Yeah, he's a sweet dude. So like
Yeah.
I even want to do like collabs with you guys as well,
Mhm,
right?
we should,
Just like it
100%.
just brings everything together and makes it easier to grow yourself and grow a brand to be
Yeah,
and
100%.
like just kind of make everybody together, really, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
And it's such a like I said, it's such a wicked idea because like you're that's what when we started our shirts and shit like that. We're very drifting. Like 881 was supposed to be all motorsports, but
Yeah.
we all do drifting, right? So it's really that's a big drifting essence into the clothing.
Yeah.
It's very drifting lifestyle. So same shit with you. Yours is very really FMX, and then there's another good example of Far From Good that are just like do the dumbest shit you can.
yeah. Well, they even have some nice clean cut stuff, right?
They're
like,
wicked,
like
man.
a nice elegant stuff, and like that's even like I want to work on like some collared tees and stuff, like something that you can wear golfing or do a nice dinner, right?
Yeah.
Right now, like you said, like all my stuff's directed towards like people that have style like me, like not only because that's how I built the brand, but I built the brand off what I'm chasing, right? And like
100%.
that's kind of more of the aspect of people that are into it. It's just how it works, I guess. But even the people that aren't like all tattooed up and stuff, like they still all love the clothing and like the style of it. Like I've met old moms and grandmas and they're like, oh my god, I love this, I'm buying 3 of them. And I'm like, well, that's cool.
Well, your hat, man, I see them fucking everywhere. Whether like you have that sleek design that's just like black and white, or you have the camel ones that like there's a shit ton of people. Just you work at Syncrude, like 1 out of 3 people have Hard Kastle at or Toque as well.
And that's even like the stickers in the lockers out there. My mom-in-law, she's always like, yeah, Alex, I seen a Hard Kastle sticker in the locker today, and I'm like, oh, that's wicked.
And then she's like, was that you?
Yeah.
But no, and it's cool because it's really the same thing with 881 when we started clothing. It's really based around what you like and your culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
The FMX culture, but it's good to have like broader horizon. Like,
well, and that's just it. What I was gonna brush up on is like my goals with Hard Kastle too is to broaden it so it's open for everybody, not just because you like FMX, but because you want to build a lifestyle around the passion that drives you. Right, not just a brand towards dirt bikes and all that, but
that's a hard thing that I find.
Lifestyle brand.
That's a hard thing that I find because like I have a very my style is very simple. Like, you know what I mean? But I understand that a lot of people like more colorful stuff, and I have a very hard time to integrate it in the clothing.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You shop at Walmart, and he wears Gucci. It's like
you know, like
I'm all about winners over here. Everybody has their fucking what they like, right? So,
hey, I've been doing good without buying the Gucci lately, though. I've been doing better.
Jesus, I just had to bug you from the last one.
Buddy, is the Gucci hat.
My last $600 hat was kind of the that was the last thing I bought.
Is that what it cost?
Yeah. Yeah, it was $550 plus tax.
You know my turbo is gonna cost that? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like,
it's a cheap ass turbo, man. You should get a name brand.
Oh, fuck off. Jesus Christ.
I was gonna say that is a cheap turbo, but I've only put diesel turbos in, so like.
Oh well, yeah, but we have different deals. We can't get into, so. But yeah, no, it's like it's a big thing, but it's gonna help you in the long run. You know what I mean?
100%.
People are gonna start recognizing your brand, and then
right.
You gave a kid a T-shirt, you autograph them, and it sticks up to them, man. Like
Well, actually, that was like some young man at the Northern Bout this year. Can't remember exactly what his name was and what the story was. But Jordan Rude sent him my way. He's like, "Hey man, can you set this kid up?" I think he did the winner pick as well, right?
Yeah.
So I sent him away with like 3 shirts, a couple hats, a hoodie, just set him up, and he was happy as hell. I was like, "Well, that's what it's all about, right?"
I'm
like,
mad.
If I can see some kid walk away smiling and made his day, then that's all I want.
I'm mad because I don't remember his name, but he
I say like Hudson or something.
Hudson.
Yeah,
he was growing a mullet, wasn't he? For what?
Yeah, I think this was his second time doing it too.
For suicide awareness, right?
Yeah.
So so basically the backstory is he grows his mullet and he's what 9 or 10?
His age.
He's pretty young.
He's pretty young, and he Rude contacted me as well because he was like, "Hey man, like I met this guy at the barbershop and he's just cutting his hair for suicide prevention." He was like, "Is there anything you guys can do to like?" Because he wanted to how do you say that? He wanted to give back to him because he reward him for what he was doing.
100%.
So I was like, dude, we'll take his family and we'll look him up as VIP as Northern Belt, and we'll make him pick this favorite run. So we brought him on stage. He started talking to Mike and his mom, like, and it's good because it's not only good for the little boy that felt like a rock star for a day, but it's good for suicide prevention because like now he got to broadcast his message to 2,100, 2,500 people.
No, that message is even in the aspect of, say, the drift event or the dirt biking event, right? Show kids that there's another way to grieve or keep your mind busy, right? Like
100%.
deal with things, right? Like I like to say throttle therapy. Like I've been through a few adversities in my life. At a young age, I lost my father, and like honestly, like the way I've cope with everything best is just go out and fucking ride, man. Throttle therapy. Like when you're riding, you don't think about nothing, you're just free.
100%.
And like I'm sure it's the same thing when you guys are sideways in a corner, sliding around a corner, right?
You don't think about nothing.
It's It's one of my biggest coping mechanisms. Like, if I'm ever down about something, got stuff in my mind, like being in the garage or taking one of my cars and just going,
100%.
shred a little bit. Like, it's just completely
It's stress reliever, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
just nothing else matters
And that's
anymore
what I
at that
think
point.
not even this aspect, but just the world, right? People don't do things they enjoy enough anymore. Everybody's stuck in this mentality of work up, wake every day, go to sleep.
Yeah.
And no, you got to go and give time for your own self and your body to do a passion or things you enjoy doing, or else you're just gonna live a stigment life.
Well, that's the thing, and like that, it's weird because it's weird how fucking essential that 2 hours of drifting is every week, like on the summer.
And then when you don't drive, like when winter's here, you're like, we're just itching,
you're just itching because for
I'm going snowmobiling, and all I want to do is go ride my dirt bike.
Because for that that little 2 hours, you don't think about nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
Exactly.
And you just concentrate on driving. You don't you have all your friends around you. You just have fun. You don't there's some times like same thing. Like I think at one point everybody struggles with mental health, and for me it was like last year ish. Yeah. And it's just like it helped me going forwards with I was stressed out this whole week, but for those 2 hours. Nothing.
Yeah, there's not a time when I'm at scales that you won't see me smile ear to ear, just having the time of my life, like every week.
That's
especially sick when you see you guys like bumping each other and stuff.
Because we don't care.
Like we did the wheelie circles around me, like
fucking Christ, man. Dude,
I wish we had a better clip for that, because I was coming down over your bumper and I was like, oh fuck, I'm in the garage. And I was like. But it came down, missed. I was like, okay, we gotta get that way better.
Yeah.
Keep doing that, right? Just because that close danger brings a bit of adrenaline, right? Just trying to keep chasing it.
There's one picture where you can see like your wheel, probably 5 inches from my spoiler. You know what I mean? It was
gnarly one.
So fucking close. But to bring it back to that therapy, like I know some people who build their cars because let's say one person, I won't name him for to respect. But he built his car to remember his brother that committed suicide. You know what I mean? It was his drive to get his car out and go 100%. Drive, and then he put suicide awareness right across his car.
Well, and the wrap colors, the wheels being the blue color and the wrap being purple. That's the colors of the suicide awareness ribbon, right?
And so that's why we did a run that. All the profits went to SOS, which is a non-profit in town. That's like a suicide line. So he was like, hey, can we do like a line for that? I was like, 100%. Let's fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the one hoodie I don't have, and I wish so bad that I had it.
Yeah.
I missed out on that one.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We'll missed out on that one.
We'll do a rerun because like I said, Far from good. It's crazy how much Far from good had an impact on 881 because they took charge of our merch for like two years, but now like they all have their life, you know what I mean? So they're a bit more busy.
100%.
But they donated they made those shirts cost so little, so all the profit would go directly to SOS. And man, it worked wicked. We had like 500 followers and we donated like $700.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Like, it's so good to give back to the community. Like, even, for instance, I get my haircuts at Thickwood Barbershop there, and they do a Santa's Anonymous every year just for the less fortunate, right? And last year I brought in some toys, but this year I decided to just go in my office and pound a bunch of kids' hoodies, kids' onesies, and all this, right?
I've seen that too.
Because, people can have toys, but what's more important, toys or having something warm to wear, right?
Exactly.
So I was like, let's give something that I built in this community back to the community, and did it that kind of way instead of toys this year. And I was like, felt a lot better, honestly, doing that, right?
100%, yeah. It doesn't take much. Like, the sort of people or volunteer your time.
Exactly, right?
We do it with all the time with one with area. Like, we've been trying to grow Area 63 to a
and it helps
point.
Build relationships as well, right?
100%. You won't lose anything by trying to help.
No, exactly.
Ever.
100%.
So yeah, we tried to do that with Area 63 for a while. We were just like piling volunteers up their way because it's racing, and they tried to grow it to a point where it's super inclusive that everybody can go racing there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we did shows for free. You did a freestyle show for free there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's just sometimes you got to bite the bullet and do it, right? not even bite the bullet. Like, it was our first year working together and doing anything. So what's wrong with the demo? Just to get the idea of what we're gonna bring right in the future.
Yeah.
Like, that was the first show, and we're like, holy shit, that went good. And then we did the Northern Bout, and it was just fucking insane.
How did Northern Bout go for you? You liked it?
Dude, like, it was insane. Like,
I was dying, but
like, honestly, it was the sickest. Yeah, I remember that, man. I was so upset that you had to leave. I was like, fuck, man, this guy just did so much work here, and like,
Yeah, that was pretty depressing.
and it was insane. Like, I remember at one point, me and JC were just running around the parking lot like 12 at night, just putting up this fence and stuff.
Gee, yo, yeah, man, I remember that. Like, it's crazy. You don't realize how much people really wanted this to happen until it was time to set it up.
Yeah.
And like 20 people just the people messaged me on or on Facebook. They were like, dude, it's like people that I talk once a year. They're like, we really want this to happen. Is there anything that we can do right now that can help?
Yeah, there's so many people that just volunteered and helped. Like, even I got a couple of buddies, like everybody. It was awesome. Like, there's like 30 of us in the parking lot each night having hot dogs on the barbecue and stuff. Like, it was a sweet experience and super sick event. Like, it turned out nuts. Like, we have aerial view footage of it, and like, it's such a sick picture. It's just donuts and around and like a big figure eight, and then my airbag and ramps in it, and it's just like, shit, we did that.
Speaking of donuts and your ramps, how was it stressful hitting that jump when there was 3 cars below you guys doing donuts?
Honestly, not at all. Like, I don't eat, like, once, so, after, when it was FMX for me anyways, after the first jump, I'm good. Like, you can throw anything in the mix, after the first jump's done, I'm good, because I'm just focused at that point, right?
Yeah.
The first jump, you're like, hey, did my muscle memory help me and get me out of the rip? Like, you know, so like even that time, I just drove across Canada, rode for a couple of days, and then I came down there and set up. I was riding by myself for my first night practice, so I was pretty nervous. But like, even for shows this year, like there's been quite a few shows that I had to go puke before I went and rode.
Really?
Yeah, like just like can't eat nothing all day just because the nerves just shot.
That's what I was gonna say. Does like does it stress you with crowd?
100%. Like not more the crowd, but more stress myself out more. Just like,
oh really?
Because if you ever like thinking about stuff and just over contemplate it in your brain, right? It's gonna make you overthink things, and so like you just gotta tell yourself stop thinking, and like you got it. Fuck yeah, I got this, Alex. Like we're gonna kill this one, right? Like I tell myself that every show. Yeah. So it's just all about kicking the nerves to the side and like blocking out the mental fear and all that, and just like once you got that down, I think like that's when you can really try to pursue it more. Because like if you can't put that side aside, then you can't progress.
100%.
Like even when like I went to learn the flip and start learning the flip this year, like. Even just to pull back for the first time off a ramp at 75 feet, right? Like even though you know you're landing a foam, you definitely still have to block everything out and just fully commit and not think about anything but what you're doing. You know?
Yeah.
You just gotta be fully aware in there.
Is this a big step up whenever you? Because I keep hearing ease a back flip or shit like that. Is that like a big step up whenever you do FMX or?
Well, so you get a higher paycheck when you're doing shows, but like. It's just sick to flip. Like, like flips are so dope on dirt bike. But you don't want to just be like, for instance, like some guys have said to me, you don't want to be that guy throwing backflips and a heel clicker in a show and that's all you got, right? Yeah. So like that's 100%. Even like, I obviously want to get it down and have it like dialed and be doing it constantly, but I'm also not rushing anything because like I got nothing to rush. I've like flipped BMXs before. I've done it now in the foam pit, so I know I kind of got it down and I'm ready to do it. So it's just once I get the actual seat time of just riding and having fun, and then just go fucking get it done.
Yeah, it's good that you're
diversifying.
Like, your line of tricks is pretty diverse now.
Well, exactly right. I can go through a show and throw tricks like a variety of different tricks that I'm comfortable throwing and still look like a pretty good rider, right? Without having to throw a backflip. Yeah,
and like at Northern about this summer, like it was good. Like when there was 3 of you guys going, it was like. In a train, and it was something different for each rider. Like there was nothing.
I was the upright rider for all the shows all year, right? So it's sweet like that. Like there was times like I do the kiss of death where I throw my legs up in the air.
Yeah.
And I'd be looking back at someone.
Really?
Yeah. Or like my one buddy.
Jesus Christ.
His name's Curtis Williams. Instagram's Dirt Kurt. Like he has a whole riding place near London, Ontario as well. Mm-hmm. And he'd do Shaolin bar hops. So it's when he goes like this and puts his legs through the bars. And when I'd come up through KOD, your feet would get so close because we were in the train so tight.
Are you serious?
And then, like, Christian would land in front of me, I'd land, and then Curdy would land behind me, and we were so close at one train that, like, all of us bounced off the bag at the same time, and it was so nuts. And like every time you do that, you're like, fuck man, that was sick. Let's try and get closer.
Yeah. So it sounds like us.
Is that like
Every time we hit a
Same
turn,
idea, right? Same
we
idea.
get a little bit closer until JC hits me and writes
Like
my car
Christian,
off.
Hey.
Christian Martinez will look back at me and he'll be like,
Oh really?
and I'm like, all right.
Shout out Christian, by the way. What's his handle? Martinez MFX?
Martinez FMX.
Oh, he's wicked. Like I talked to him a few times on Instagram just to.
Most humble dude I've ever met, 100%.
He's from I'm from Quebec and he's from I think he's
Montreal.
from Montreal,
Yeah.
isn't he? Yeah, he's a wicked dude. Like we actually, because I used to be quite involved in graffiti back home.
Oh yeah.
Is
Oh yeah, 'cause he knows a bunch of those guys.
Deeper
right?
and,
that
yeah.
guy's nuts. So talented.
oh super
Did you see
talented.
his trailer that he did?
That's what I said. That's because he posted it for sale. So I hit him up. I was like, "Is that Deep?" He was like, "Yeah, he's one of my good homie." I'm like, "What the fuck?" He was like, "Yeah, like that old group of Circle in Montreal. Like, there was a 203, like a big graffiti crew.
Yeah.
Like they're from where I'm from, and they
Okay.
know everybody in Montreal. So
Yeah.
I grew up with them. So it's just wicked. Like it's crazy how small of a
I was
world
just
it
about to
actually
say
is,
small
right?
world, man. Like even like meeting you guys and like
Yeah.
just the people I've met through you guys and so on. Like it's crazy how small the world is. Like even talking to people across the country, like you somehow know someone else that knows each other, and it's just like
That was the
crazy.
randomest thing ever, yeah.
Right?
And you know him good, you know Christian good, and it just
Exactly.
like it was just fucking
Like
weird.
Christian just like pretty much stepped out on a limb and was like, "Look, Alex, you gotta kill it for me." And I was like, "All right, man, like here we go." And like I was talking to him the other day actually, and that's what he said. He's like, "But you got it done, man." And,
Yeah.
like that's even the first year. Like he's such a humble dude. Like I was saying, like he just invited. I was just some random guy. I never met him before in my life, but turns
Really?
out, yeah. But he was lived here for 10 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you did, yeah.
So he knew a lot. You know a lot of the same people as well. So like I started following him from people talking about him, like saying Freestyle FMX or that
Jerky
came from
knows
Port
good,
Mac,
yeah.
Jerky as well. And so then like I started talking to him on Instagram. He was like, "Yeah, man, come out and ride in the show with me."
Are you
Like,
serious?
Yeah, just come out and hang out. And I was like, "Well, fuck, I ain't gonna lose that opportunity." So I
Yeah,
fucking, like I said, I
100%.
rented a transit van with my buddy Brandon, like I was saying there, and booked her across Canada.
Is that the time that you
Drove
went
there
like
for 2 days, rode for 1 day, and pretty much drove back.
is that the time you went like super over the mileage on the van and
Yeah, man. So I rented this transit van from Hertz, and like it was like 700 kilometers for a week, and I was like, "Oh, we're fucked." It was like $4,000 for this van, man.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Jesus,
But it was
wow.
worth every penny.
Oh yeah,
Like-
it gotta be.
No,
Sent to
that's-
my buddy, I was like, "Yo, bro, you gotta split this with me."
yeah, no, that story is hilarious.
It's worth it though, just for the amount of exposure
That's
you get,
the
right?
thing.
For doing,
100%, man.
you know, your first show, the complete
Well,
opposite
yeah,
side
like,
of Canada.
Obviously, Hard Kastle started then, so like I had this van all pimped out, like Hard Kastle banners stuck up on the side of the windows
Really?
and stuff, like just rigged up.
Another 15 or what? But you want to talk a little bit about the future or what?
Yeah, may as well.
What you got in store for next year?
Well, that's kind of where it comes between us talking and what we have in store for next year, you know? Because like I said, we had one event up here together, and then there's that one that you guys wanted to do, but I was out of town there.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to try and get at least a couple events on the go with you guys next year.
We got
I know you guys are probably planning the Northern Bout again. We'll probably obviously want to have me out, I'm sure.
yeah, we're trying to get Northern Belt, but it's hard because they're trying to put emphasis on their golf tournaments.
Oh, okay.
So we're trying. Like I actually got to talk to them again this month to try to get their calendars. So because our calendars, and we have another event in that we just got contracted to host a drift event. And I tried to plug you in too, and they wouldn't. But
Well,
yeah,
it's hard to sell it too, man. Like, cause it's not cheap.
the
Like,
thing is,
it's not-
it's not cheap. It's the facility. It can't
Well, that
it
as
can't
well.
hold you. It's an oval. It's an
Where's
oval
that?
on EIR.
Okay.
Edmonton,
Up by Wetaskiwin.
Yeah, what task went.
Edmonton
So
International
the
Raceway.
in pit is not open, so you
Yeah.
can't put it in the in pit. So you got to put it on the track, but the track is slanted.
Oh, okay.
So I asked them. I was like, they asked me, is there any way that do you think we have the room for the facility? I was like, yeah, well, like me and Alex will figure out something.
I'd have to look at it.
And then I was like, so she asked me like, what's around the what, like what's the price round? And and she was like, yeah, no, we can't do that this year.
Yeah,
So
well,
my goal is to rent that facility because they won't let me rent it this year. So
Yeah.
if we rent it, I can get you to come because we can make money off
100%.
tickets
And I
entrance.
remember me and you were chatting the one day, and we were like, kind of goals for the future is like start a circuit.
Yes.
Like we did like the Northern Bout, but like kind of go around Alberta, BC with that.
Yeah, because it complements each other really good, and the thing is, drifting always has downtime, like in between rounds.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's so
100%.
easy. It's like a wicked entertainment in
And
between rounds.
even if like per se you didn't have a big track to do it like we did, you could even still do like what we did in the middle of the ramp, like do some figure eights around the ramps, like just to put on a show for people, right? Like just to get a little gigs and things like that. Like I know Colin wants to do some things this year.
When it comes to like freestyle motocross, like I don't know of another event that had them both together, drifting and freestyle motocross, and to do it literally the exact same time with cars below the motocross. I don't think that's been done.
Here's the thing, because I was actually back home in Quebec, and I talked to my mentor for mechanic. He started the drag racing track back home, and it's in the smallest town that I've there's probably 20,000 people at that town. Mm-hmm. That it was in the smallest town in Quebec. Well, not in Quebec, but that has a racetrack in Quebec. And we were pulling as much spectators as all the other racetrack combined. Crazy. Every fucking Friday.
That's not Naperville, is it?
No, it's called Saint Louis Motorsports. I worked there for 12 years. So, I was talking to him because I started to understand. Dude, I grew up in this, right? I worked there for 12 years, so I understand what a good show.
Yeah,
yes,
100%.
So we had over 2,000 spectators every Friday, every single Friday. It's a lot of money. Like when you like there's it's easy for us to talk about it because we're open book because it was for charity, and people don't do the math often. Do 2,000 people times 25.
Well, exactly. Right.
That's how much you'll get in ticket sales. And then you have food, you have everything. But I was curious because I grew up in the aspect of like giving a show because I know how racetrack work. Yeah. And we were talking about it. We were like, you need a fucking continuous show. You can't let people to have like a downtime. Like if you have a downtime of an hour, people are gonna leave.
Well, that's actually such a good way to get into this conversation. Being said, with the downtime and shows, like doing I was riding for FMX World Tour all summer in the Monster Madness Tour, and like. This is actually real show business when you're riding those shows. Like, you're on your bike and the promoter's looking at you, and when he says go, it's go, go, go.
Yeah.
Like Christian like says, jump, monkey, jump, and then sit and wait, jump, monkey, jump.
Yeah.
But, that's his name's Ralph. He's a great guy to work for, actually. And so, actually, like they said, there's no downtime in the show. It's like constant rushing 24/7 in show business. Right?
That 5 minutes that it takes you to set up the ramp is enough for the people to go to the washroom to go get a beer. Like that 10 to 15 minutes, that's their downtime. But then after that, you got to keep them hooked. That's how a good show will go on. You know what I mean?
No downtime.
No that well. You need like a 30 minutes.
Yeah, the intermissions are normal, but like during the show and actually stuff, even if a rider crashes or anything,
100%.
or a truck breaks down, like they're instantly like, get someone else going.
Yeah, that's what you remember at Area 63 when we did the first event.
Yeah,
like that's why I was like, okay, they're done right now. Okay, Alex, go. Yeah. Then I go get over. I'm like, go on track right now. You know what I mean? You cannot have that little downtime because people will. First of all, they'll lose interest. They'll leave the track and they won't come back.
100%.
So that's what we did really good at Northern Belt. We were able to just keep going and and make it natural flow. You know what I mean? And people are greedy, so they won't go out and pay for you to get that extra little. But they don't
100%.
realize that they're losing. Like at the end of the year, a racetrack that like let's say we do those show, and let's say we go 4 places per year. The first place maybe it'll be new. If we just do drifting and no nothing in the intermission, the first show people will come because it's new, it's drifting. So they're like, oh, they'll have interest. They might leave. They might stay the whole time. They might leave halfway through, but they won't come for the 3 others. So you lose 80 grand in ticket sales.
100%.
Unless you pay that's 10. That let's say let's throw a random number. Let's say you're 10 grand to be there. It might be 10 grand for the 3 shows, but you'll get another 50 grand of profit. You know what I mean?
100%. Well,
so
it keeps people entertained, and they see that stuff, and they want to see it again.
That's
or
the
they
thing.
Tell a friend
100%.
what they seen, and they're like, "Yeah, it was an insane show. You got to go see it."
Yeah, 100%. But like,
and you put on a show like that, they're like, "Oh, they must are only going to be getting better." Like,
100%.
you put on a good show once, people usually think you're going to keep on bringing more good shows versus just going downhill and not putting on a good show.
Yeah, 100%. Because like, if one person went and then it was all intermissions, it was all this downtime and all this. If they're gonna leave, and then if somebody asks them, you know, how was it? Like, we might go next year. It's chances are they're gonna say, oh, like there was like 20 minutes of show and then it was all downtime. They're not gonna be.
It was cool, but it was slow. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what they're gonna say.
The big thing I noticed with shows, and even with Northern Bout, is the crowd interaction. Like, for me as an FMX rider, like, I'm fucking ripping my dirt bike on rev limiters, pointing at the crowd, like getting them amped up, and I think that's a big seller too, because they see the interaction with the kids and stuff like that, and then the kids like don't leave mom and dad alone about how awesome their day was and what they just seen, right?
That's the other thing. If you want to have a show that's successful, you need crowd interaction. That's where having a good MC is fucking important.
And Owen did a killer job.
He did a killer job.
Owen
like
killed it.
I didn't expect him to be. I know he talks a lot.
Owen's very outgoing, so when I seen him on the mic, I kind of knew.
I didn't realize how good of an MC he actually was, man. He was fucking going and going and going.
He was good. He was professional, and he kept everyone
100%.
like,
and he made you interact with the crowd. Like he was like,
exactly.
it was like, who do you think has the best trick? And just fucking,
100%.
you know what I mean?
It's
It's
so
so
Cody
important.
Kalazuk and Morgan Kalazuk, and they both interact with the crowd good too. Like,
Yeah.
Cody's a laugh. Like, he's always fucking around, giving people laughs. So it's hilarious.
It's huge, yeah. And that's another part. So shout out to Rene, who was my mentor, but he was the announcer at that track, and he understood that very, very precisely.
Yeah.
Some people didn't even come to the racetrack for the races. They came because the announcer was so good. It was entertaining. It was a show. You know what I mean? So no, 100%. Owen, fuck man, you killed it. But
you're hired again.
Yeah, you're hired again. 100% definitely.
Well, you got your voice back.
Yeah. But besides that, like, what else you got in store?
So the FMX Worldwide Tour is going back on the West Coast now. So I believe my first show is March 11th in Prince George, BC, or actually no, Dawson Creek March 4th, and then so on, and then ending March 25th in Penticton. So I got to hit a few times up in BC. So that's gonna be sweet to get riding again that soon.
Yeah.
Like before the snow's gone, he'll be riding. So just stoked to get back on the bike and get seat time in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, pretty much from there, I'm hoping my summer just fills up and I can just constantly ride all summer.
100%.
Like, there's talks of Newfoundland tours and stuff like that.
Really?
So who knows? I might be back in your hometown there, fall.
Let's see it.
Like I don't know. If my goal is to just stay on the road and stay doing shows, and I want to get a toy hauler, bring my family, my kids on the road. Took them to Ontario this year, and my kids love watching me ride. Right?
Yeah.
Love the fairs, love doing all the fun stuff out there. So, goal is just to kind of make the FMX life living on the road doable and better and more comfortable, right?
100%.
A couple times driving across Canada this year, I was sleeping in the back seat on like 3 hours of sleep, and you wake up and your neck's all kinked, and like, you know, it's just not comfortable or doable. So,
and hopefully
we
get to a point that we can do like that fucking plan that I talked to you about, like doing like those 4.
100%.
That's why we called it Northern Belt, because we want to do northern, southern, fucking western, eastern.
Yeah, it'd be sweet.
And that's the thing, like we kind of had to bite the bullet this year about like Southern Bout, and just like it comes out as a paid promoters.
Yeah.
But that we want to rent either Castro or the EIR and do like the same thing that we did at Northern Bout, but down south.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
And it would just bring more people to the crowd and like the sports, like we were saying earlier.
100%.
Right? More people are going to see what we're all about up here, and then just keep paying attention to the YouTube channels and see everything that we're doing, and then that's how you build a base, and then just keep the shows bringing them on to the people.
What's
that
your
want
YouTube channel?
So I have it posted as Hard Kastle right now. I have 2 vlogs on there so far. Trying to post and keep people entertained with it. So I like
just tough in the down season.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Same thing with us.
Well, and I want to start doing it daily, right? Not daily, but like weekly as I'm on the road and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like just
100%.
following through the shows and stuff, right? It keeps people updated on what you're doing.
Easy content too.
And that as well,
easy
right?
content.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not that hard to take an hour a night to edit, as long as you have the time to do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's my goal with that, is keep pumping out videos of what people like to see and just like kind of what I'm doing with my bikes and all that stuff, right? So other than that, that's about it, and just trying to stay focused and keep grinding as hard as I can, get all the tricks I want down, and that's pretty much it for 23. Just keep grinding forward. Try to be 1% better every day, I guess.
Besides that, yeah, solid things. Besides that, what are your socials?
Hard Kastle Clothing is my Instagram for the clothing brand. Scummy636 for my personal, and then website Hard Kastle Clothing or hardkastleclothing.com. Sorry.
Doesn't even know his website.
Yeah. I need to update it, actually. It's been a while. Yeah. And that's all of them for now, other than my YouTube, like I just said there. So that's all I have going right now. Actually, I have a TikTok too, Hard Kastle 19. Don't post on it much, but
It's hard.
there's some stuff on there. Yeah, it's so hard when there's like 8 different platforms.
Oh, I
It's
bet
like,
that.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming out,
yeah,
dude.
thanks for having me out, guys. And fuck, if you guys want to do it, we'll do it again sometime.
Oh, of course, dude. Well, we have to catch up like midsummer or something just to
100%. Just see what we're doing and all the goals that we've accomplished together, and see what else we can bring forward.
100%. Well, fuck, if you
Cheers,
enjoyed
guys.
this podcast, please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Next
Thanks
time.
again, dude. Yeah.